This is the base model from PNY of an RTX 5080, and it may actually be worth your money, especially in a market where most RTX 5080s are massively overpriced still. So let's give it a look and let's see what it's actually like. Now, I made a dedicated video about palette because for a while I was doing a series trying to cover the less popular brands, because everybody knows about ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, but less people know about Inno3D, PNY, palette, Manly, colorful, and a lot of brands which maybe are good but are simply less distributed in the US or in Europe. PNY, for those of you who don't know, is actually an American company and it has been around for a long time. The reason why they are less popular is that, as you can see, they are less flashy, and so they don't get as much attention on the internet as a ROG Strix, or I guess Astral, since they're called that nowadays, card would. However, PNY actually makes a Verto, or Accelerate, card, which is basically the same card with RGB, which actually looks really cool, but they are less popular. So when one pops out, and when I actually get one and put one in a build, a lot of people ask me what it is. And that's exactly why I got the more boring version here today, because they are the same card with the same clock. The only difference is the RGB. So if you're watching this and you want to buy the RGB version, it's very much understandable because it looks a lot better than this, which is honestly pretty ugly, but this review is gonna apply to that card as well. Now, let's start from the actual packaging. So if we go ahead and take a look at this from the outside, it's pretty boring. It doesn't even have a code name. It's just called PNY RTX 5080. It doesn't even have anything going. And the packaging is very cheap and there is nothing inside. We go ahead and open it up. We just have the card, the adapter, but hold on. We also get an anti-sag bracket, which seems like something I've seen before on ASUS cards, and it's the exact same design as we did get, for example, with the RTX 4090 ASUS. The only difference is we have a PNY logo and not a Republic of Gamers logo. But again, packaging is very minimal. The unboxing experience doesn't make you look like you just dropped $1,000 on a card, and it doesn't make you feel very much satisfied. The card feels pretty heavy and the finish in plastic is decent. I like the glossy side, but it feels very plasticky. However, the backplate is actual metal and it is actually heat conductive. It also has a pass-through design, but I don't like what they've done here, basically obstructing the pass-through with the backplate itself. So this is not the best. They also decided for some reasons to put RTX 5080 everywhere they could. So we have it on the backplate, on the side, literally anywhere. So this is good if you want to show people what you've got going on. And if you're gonna horizontal mount this thing, you're gonna be able to see pretty clearly what you have inside. If you vertical mount it, however, it doesn't look the best, especially with the fans spinning, and you can't even flex your card model, so maybe it's not the best design. This side here also looks pretty unfinished. So I'd say from an aesthetic point of view, this thing from me has a 5 out of 10. It doesn't look terrible, but it certainly doesn't make your PC look cool. Let's take a look at the actual weight, how the card feels, and what I can see without dismounting it about the card design. So weight is actually pretty heavy. I would say right around where a 4080 Super would be. But listen, NVIDIA is so strict with their requirements for their board partners that you can't expect to get a bad 5080, really. I've covered this already in my Don't Buy an RTX 5080 video, pretty important video in my opinion if you're considering to buy one of those, because I talk about basically supply and demand, how it may not be time yet, and how I used the 4090 is much better value if you consider buying one of those. But anyways, since NVIDIA is so stringent, you can't really get a bad card, which is very good for the consumer. So this we also know to some extent is going to have good cooling. Now the PCB itself is very small, it's this big exactly. The rest is just heatsink, so the card is this big, which means it has to be very packed, and I can see that the thermal pads are already starting to break a little bit from the side, which tells me they are not the best quality. However, the heatsink feels pretty solid, and if we go ahead and test that both in synthetics and in gaming, this is actually a very strong performer. It doesn't overheat at all. It runs overall pretty quiet. Now, I've had some issues with fans on PNY cards from the past, but this is a brand new design, but only time will tell about the fans. So probably the most important thing, aside from temperature, is performance. And now they claim that this card is overclocked out of the box. Now, a quick look in Afterburner tells us that is true. And also, synthetic benchmarks that we ran confirm that. However, it's a very small overclock, resulting in around a 2 to 3% performance improvement over a reference model in real-world gaming, which is not bad actually, but you can do much better if you quite simply overclock or undervolt your card by yourself, and this is what I do on my channel mostly. I also do reviews, but the channel is mostly for tutorials, how to do stuff, and they have a whole undervolting playlist, and the 5080 video just came out based on this card. I think you shouldn't buy cards because they're overclocked. If you're buying, for example, a ROG Astral card because of the overclock, you're wasting your money. You should buy a ROG Astral card because it's cool, it's very quiet, and the build quality is better, but not because of the clocks. The clocks you can do a lot better yourself. It doesn't really matter. The silicon is gonna be pretty much the same. Yes, bigger companies are going to have a stricter binning, which basically means they're going to pick the best chips for the top of the line models, whereas the smaller companies, you may actually get, for example, a better binned card with PNY compared to ASUS, because ASUS is going to make, for example, their Matrix model with the best bin they have, the graphene cooled one, and they're going to, for example, get the TUF with the lower end binning. So that's another positive of buying a lesser known brand, is you may be luckier in the silicon lottery when it comes to the actual GPU die itself. This card is also a pretty good overclocker. All of the 5000 series are actually, every single one I tested goes pretty high in overclock, and you can do that without really increasing your power output or heat output at all. All in all, coming off to the conclusions, this card is definitely good. It has nothing wrong going on, and it's a lot cheaper than other counterparts, and it's also readily available. So I would recommend you buy it if you like the aesthetics, which is pretty ugly, and if you don't care about the whole brand, unboxing experience, and the feel of the card experience. If you just want something that's gonna be a 5080, give you full performance, even actually a bit more than full, work well, be quiet, this is a good buy. If you're looking for something cool, this is not it, and I would not recommend it. And with that said, guys, as usual in my videos, let me know down below what you guys think, because it's the most important part, and you were also considering one of these. Let me know what you bought, and if you're happy or if you're not happy. And if you have one of those and are having issues, drop a comment so other people know, so I know, and we can avoid those, okay? And if you watched the video this far, maybe drop a like and subscribe, your choice, and see you guys in another video. Bye bye.